Now it's time for your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, April 3rd, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Prosecutors will not file charges against Robert Jordan, accused of growing marijuana. This from the HeraldTribune.com. Prosecutors declined Tuesday to press charges against Robert Jordan for cultivating marijuana plants, which he said were to treat his wife Kathy's illness. The state attorney's office announced that it believed Jordan could successfully mount a medical necessity defense in court. The Jordan's home was raided by Manatee County Sheriff's Office in February after a tip that there were 2 marijuana plants growing in their backyard. The Jordans have lobbied in Tallahassee for marijuana legalization for years, spending even more time talking with state lawmakers after the raid about the bill named for Kathy Jordan. Kathy Jordan, age 62, has used marijuana for years to control the symptoms of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS. The president of the Florida Cannabis Action Network, Kathy Jordan, quote, does more in that wheelchair than most people do, end quote, her husband has said. Toking up at the bar under Washington state legal marijuana law? Not for long, say state officials. This from the StarTribune.com. Washington state officials say it's not okay for bars to allow marijuana use, and they'll take quick steps to address that. The announcement from the State Liquor Control Board on Wednesday followed a recent report by the Associated Press about establishments in Olympia and Tacoma that allow people to consume marijuana on site. Washington legalized pot for adults last fall, but public display and use of marijuana is barred under the law, punishable by a civil infraction carrying a $103 fine. The Liquor Control Board's rules allow it to punish bars that allow criminal activity on site, but not bars that allow civil infractions, and that's the loophole regulators intend to address. Board members say they're concerned about people mixing alcohol and marijuana, then getting behind the wheel. Will Oregon be the first state to legalize marijuana through the legislature? From theweedblog.com. At the Oregon legislature yesterday, House Bill 3371 became the first Oregon cannabis legalization measure to have a hearing and pass out of a committee. The bill passed out of the committee 6-3, with one Republican, Wayne Krieger, joining the committee's 5 Democrats. The bill now moves on to the House Committee on Revenue. Under House Bill 3371, the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, or OLCC, will license and regulate the state's marijuana industry. The bill allocates 40% of revenue for education, 20% for law enforcement, 20% for the general fund, and 20% for mental health and substance abuse services. House Bill 3371 will also allow Oregon farmers to produce industrial hemp, a low-potency form of marijuana with many uses, such as paper, fiber, and textile products. Ending hemp prohibition will provide farmers with a sustainable, profitable new crop while creating jobs across multiple business sectors in Oregon. Czech pharmacies begin selling medical marijuana, from rawstory.com. Medical marijuana legally went on sale Tuesday in pharmacies across the Czech Republic for patients suffering from cancer, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, or psoriasis. The prescription-only drug formally became legal on Monday. Prague will first import the drug for about a year, reportedly from Israel or the Netherlands, until the State Institute for Drug Control starts issuing licenses to local growers for a maximum of 5 years. People holding up to 15 grams, or a little over a half an ounce of marijuana, or growing up to 5 plants of cannabis, risk just a small fine. A 2011 National Report on Narcotics said 16.1% of Czechs aged 15 to 34 admitted to having used marijuana in that year, down from 20.3% a year earlier. Fighting drug addiction with marijuana, from ABC News. For decades, Colombia has been searching for ways to treat people who are addicted to bazuco, the nation's version of crack cocaine. Now the country's capital, Bogota, is considering a new approach, transitioning users to marijuana. Bazuco isn't the same as crack, but it's an apt comparison. Like crack, it's smokable and more common among a poorer segment of society. Julian Quintero from the Bogota-based nonprofit organization Acción Técnica Social, which works on drug policy, told BBC Mundo how such centers will work. First, you start reducing the dose. After that, you change administration. If you injected heroin, you move to smoking heroin, from smoking heroin to combining it with cannabis, and after that, staying with cannabis. Is anyone in the U.S. trying this sort of approach with hard drugs? Absolutely not. And that's your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, April 3rd, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines and look at the closing or the attempt to close Frankie's and Stonegate in Washington State. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back after this.